So I thought we could talk about today the all-consuming question of our modern era. Is continuity important? I feel like this question becomes more and more important, more and more relevant as a lot of these franchises grow and gain longevity. Especially not just like they've been around for a long time, but they've been around for a long time and they keep making new media. Like Aliens and Predator and Star Trek and Star Wars and all these different universes that were like a couple of movies or a couple of shows, and then suddenly it's 50, 60 years later and they're still making new content. I mean, literally, Star Trek is about to become 60, right? Next year is the 60th. Wow, that's wild. So it's an interesting question that I keep seeing come up a lot more and more. And I personally think the answer is more nuanced than people are giving it credit for. First, what is continuity, right? So it's more or less making sure that things are consistent. Well, first time I was a script supervisor on a short film called Final Frame. One of the main jobs I had was to make sure that things were consistent from take to take. So if in the wide shot a dude pointed with his right hand but had his left hand in his pocket, then in the close-up I had to make sure that those actions matched, so that when you're editing, the thing flows. I don't know, I'm sure you've seen it, even if you don't realize it. There's a bunch of movies and shows sometimes where you'll see a character's looking over here when the camera's on them. But then when the camera's not on them, or then when the camera's like behind them looking at somebody, their head is down, and it's like, well, it doesn't match. Their movement doesn't match. That would be a continuity error. The flow gets messed up. And inside of a single project, continuity in that sense is incredibly important because it takes people out of the experience. Even if people aren't conscious of it, it does take them out of it. It feels jarring. It's something that makes the suspension of disbelief a little harder to grasp. So that is a issue. That is problematic. You don't want that. You want to make sure that your continuity is consistent. If you look on my page, I did a continuity project when I was in school called Project Escape. Still one of the favorite things I've ever done. Check it out. But that's a continuity project. It's just make sure the continuity is consistent throughout the project. And that part, like I said, that part of continuity is very, very important. But when people are talking about continuity now, they're not really talking about that aspect of it. What they're really talking about is continuity inside the larger canon. So do the elements of the story stay consistent throughout the series and throughout the multiple series, throughout the universe of shows that are being created? And this is the version of continuity that I'm saying is a little more nuanced and needs to be dissected a little more, right? Now, like let's say you have a show about a dude named Joe Bob, and you have 300 episodes. And in the first 234 episodes, this dude's house is red, and then suddenly in the next episode, his house is blue, and there's no explanation. They don't acknowledge it. That's a weird change for the sake of change. Why? It doesn't make any purpose. It doesn't serve any purpose. It's just weird, and it will take people out of it. That's bad. But let's say Joe Bob in episode 18 offhandedly says he doesn't have any siblings. And then in episode like 180, he suddenly has a sister. Yes, it's a continuity error, but it's also just you've told so many stories and you want something new to tell with these characters in this way, and this gives you a new wrinkle. Now, if episode 18 is all about how he's an only child and he's dealing with the loneliness that's an only child, not lonely, what are you talking about? But if that's what episode 18 is about, then it's a problem. Then this episode destroys that episode, and that isn't useful. That doesn't help anything. It destroys the continuity. It kind of ruins the mold of the show. But if that line was like someone else was like, I'm an only child, and going through that, and he was just like, I was an only child too, I get it. Him suddenly having a sibling doesn't break it. It doesn't change that. It doesn't alter it. It doesn't destroy it. You could rationalize a way that he was just telling the person what he wanted to hear to feel better. Continuity changes like that aren't bad. Or even if he was like, it sucks being an only child, and that's the only time he mentions it, and then you do this, okay. See, I am a comic book fan. I come from comics. And in the comic book world, we call these things soft retcons. They're not reboots, they're not remakes, they're not destroying the continuity. They're subtle changes so that they can tell the story they want to tell now. And yeah, there are little things in the past that have been altered or changed or forgotten. But they're more concerned about the story now and the integrity of the character. If you can make little changes to the story that alter past events but don't destroy the characters, I don't think it's that big a problem. Comic books have been doing it literally for decades, and nobody has a problem with it. So now when you see shows, and I'm doing this video because of Strange New Worlds, I keep seeing people complain about it, and it's so weird. It's such a brilliant show. And their complaints is like, well, this has to be a different timeline. This can't fit with the real timeline. And it's like, my guy, these are soft retcons. These are not hardcore reboots. Nothing that they are changing destroys the integrity of the original show. Any more than the retcons that were made in the original show destroyed other episodes. James T. Kirk, I believe in the first episode was like James R. Kirk. Like, come on, what are we talking about? You can make minor adjustments to improve the story or to tell new stories without destroying the integrity of the project. And when it comes to things like that, I don't think canon is as important. 100%, I think canon should be respected when you can, and I think it should be honored even when you alter it. But I think canon is like a lot of things, and you'll find this out when you make things, when you create things. You find this out is that they give you all these rules on how to write, how to film, how to do all these different things. And these rules are important, and you should learn them. And continuity is just another rule, another tool in your toolbox on how to create something. But they're helpful. They're not hard and fast. Once you understand these rules, once you know them, you can toss them out at your convenience. As long as you understand why they were there, what purpose they serve, and how you can circumvent it without destroying what you're trying to do. And a lot of things that Strange New World is doing is just that. They're soft retcons that are more paying homage to the original series than spitting on its legacy. They're like, oh, these things that happen in there, let's explore that deeper. And sometimes while exploring it deeper, they have to deviate from what happened and tie it into things that came later. Like that's not bad. That's not destroying the canon. That's not, well, it's incompatible with, no, just shut up. It's not. It's a soft retcon made so that the new stories could be entertaining and not have to have the weight of almost 60 years of other stories crushing down on them while they're trying to tell new stories. Because if they had all that weight on them and they adhered to every single piece of canon as if it was gospel, they would be paralyzed. Also, how much time are they spending just reviewing over 800 episodes and movies to make sure they don't contradict anything? Like, the longer something becomes in the tooth, the more you have to give them carte blanche to shift aspects of it. This has been done in stories forever. And for some reason, maybe it's the internet, maybe it's just everyone being able to talk about everything all the time. It's such a big deal now when it wasn't before. And I don't think it should be a big deal. If destroying the canon hurts the story, it's bad. If destroying the canon doesn't really affect the story, it's good. It doesn't matter. If the new story's good, then doing that is good. That is what matters. You don't want to destroy it just to destroy it. But you do want to be able to tell fresh new stories without being chained to a giant history of things that they thought would never come up again. Oh, we're doing this episode that's a one shot. We're never going to reference this again. Because of that, we can't then tell this season-long story, like the Gorn. That one episode of the original series. And then, like, now they're trying to, like, let's expand on these creatures. Let's give them history. Let's give them backstory. Let's dive into that. Oh, but that's a problem. You're contradicting this. But it's fun. It's exciting. I'm enjoying it. And I can still watch the arena and not be bothered by it. So what does it matter? I don't know, man. I think people get too hung up on little details that they miss the bigger picture of what's trying to be said. So I thought I would leave with these words of Leonard Nimoy. Canon is only important to certain people because they have to cling to their knowledge of the minute. Open your mind. Be a Star Trek fan and open your mind and say, where does Star Trek want to take me now? I think that's beautiful. I think he gets it. That is the point. And I think that more and more people need to come around to that understanding. Like, let's enjoy the ride. Let's take it where it's going. Now, if they change something drastically, like the last episode of season 5 of Strange New Worlds, they kill off Ahura, that's a problem. Don't do that. That's breaking canon in a way you can't fix. But like, outside of stuff like that, like, let's just have fun. Keep the characters intact. Keep the stories intact. And if you change a small detail here and there, so what? So be it. Enjoy it. I don't know. That's just my take on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Till next time, give us legends.